Hello, I'm Tom Wilkinson, and welcome to the Thinking in English podcast, a podcast for intermediate to advanced level English learners. Donald Trump is currently under criminal investigation. The FBI have raided his house in Florida. He has been interviewed by lawyers in New York, 850 of his supporters arrested, and his allies accused in Georgia. Interestingly, these events are actually part of 4 separate criminal investigations connected to Trump and his companies. Let's learn more about Trump's legal troubles today while practicing some political and legal English. You can find the full transcript of today's episode over on the Thinking in English blog. Head over to my Instagram page, Thinking in English Podcast, for more content, and leave a like, rating or review wherever you are listening right now. Here is today's vocabulary list. As always, the written list is available in the description of the podcast and also on my blog, thinkinginenglish.blog. Investigation. Investigation. The act or process of examining a crime, problem or statement. As in, an investigation is underway into the disappearance of a 70-year-old man. To charge. To charge. To make a formal statement saying that someone is accused of a crime. For example, she's been charged with murder. Offence. Offence. An illegal act. A crime. For example, driving without a license is an offence. Federal. Federal. Relating to the central government and not to the government of a region. As in, he broke both state and federal laws. Classified. Classified. Classified information is officially stated to be secret. As in, these documents contain classified material. To violate. To violate. To break or act against something, especially a law, agreement, principle, or something that should be treated with respect. For instance, they were charged with violating federal law. To sentence. To sentence. To decide and say officially what a punishment will be, as in, he was sentenced to life imprisonment. To prosecute. To prosecute. To officially accuse someone of committing a crime in a law court, as in, shoplifters will be prosecuted. Donald Trump is a businessman, TV personality, and the 45th President of the USA. I think it is fair to say that, in comparison with previous US presidents, Trump is unique. When he lost the 2020 election, rather than respectfully and peacefully accepting defeat, Trump reacted with denial, anger, and accusations. He has been banned from social media, believes that the 2020 election was rigged or stolen, and is still influencing the American right wing today. Despite being out of office for the past 2 years, there is barely a day without Trump being in the news headlines, and there is a strong possibility that he will run for the presidency again in 2024, and may even win. There are a few obstacles in his way over the next few months and years, though. While he has competition from other popular Republicans, like the Florida governor Rick DeSantis, and he will need to defeat the Democrat Party nominee, perhaps his biggest challenge will be legal. Trump is currently under investigation by US law. Last month, the world was shocked as the FBI raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida. The officers retrieved over 100 classified documents, some of which concerned nuclear weapons, which Trump had failed to return after losing the election. This is part of an investigation into the improper handling of federal records by the National Archives. And if charged with an offence, and if then found guilty, Trump may eventually face some serious consequences. The problem with Donald Trump, however, is that he doesn't make things simple. The FBI raid was part of one investigation, but not the only investigation into Trump. In fact, Trump is currently facing 4 different investigations. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 separate legal investigations. Although unlikely, there is a chance Trump could be convicted in 4 different cases for 4 different crimes. Keeping track of Trump's legal problems is not simple, so I thought I would summarize each of the cases for you today. And at the same time, we can learn and use some useful legal and political vocabulary, and practice talking about the former president as well. And just quickly, this episode is being recorded in the beginning of September, so things might have changed by the time you're listening to this in October. There might be new court cases and new crimes Trump is found guilty or Trump is charged with. So, the 4 investigations into Donald Trump. So, as I said, there are currently 4 investigations concerning Donald Trump. These are all criminal investigations. 2 are at the federal level, and 2 are state-based. The cases cover Trump's actions before, during, and after his time as president. The cases are an investigation into classified documents, the investigation into January 6th insurrection, an investigation into the state of Georgia's elections, and New York's investigation into Trump's businesses. It is important to say that all of these cases are ongoing, and Trump has not yet been officially charged with any crimes. There is a possibility that Trump will never get charged or convicted of anything. There is also a chance that he will get charged with a crime. And even if just one of the 4 cases leads to a conviction, he could theoretically spend years in prison. So let's take a look at these cases. Classified document investigation. Let's start with the investigation that led to a raid on Trump's residence in Florida. The Department of Justice is currently investigating the possible mishandling of classified documents. Classified documents are supposed to be kept secret, confidential, and should be returned to the National Archives once a president leaves office. In August, the FBI raided Mar-a-Lago and seized over 100 documents. Some of the documents had the label Sensitive Compartmented Information, which is only used for the most secret documents that are usually stored in special locations. According to the Washington Post, the documents were connected to nuclear weapons. This information is not supposed to be in a private residence of a former president. The FBI believes Trump may have violated a number of laws. For example, there are laws against mishandling, destroying, and hiding government documents. And the most serious issue could be a violation of the Espionage Act. It is a crime to keep important national security information rather than return it to the United States government. Importantly, reports suggest that Trump refused to return the documents when asked by law enforcement agencies. The Justice Department had tried to negotiate and use legal methods to get the documents back, but Trump's lawyers signed a statement claiming all documents had been returned. The FBI did not believe this and decided to raid Trump's residence. If Trump did violate the Espionage Act, he could be sentenced to up to 10 years in prison. However, it is unlikely that he will be charged with stealing classified information anytime soon. The Department of Justice is very cautious over influencing elections, so we may need to wait until after the November midterm elections before there are any updates on this case. Investigation into January 6th. The second federal investigation Trump is facing relates to the January 6th insurrection and attack on the US Capitol building. I'm sure you all remember Trump supporters breaking into the Capitol assaulting police officers, and attempting to intimidate members of Congress. Hundreds of individuals have been arrested, charged, and some are already convicted for their involvement in the January 6th violence. 830 people have already been charged in connection, and earlier this year the Department of Justice hired 131 new lawyers to prosecute these cases. According to the US Attorney General, the Department of Justice remains committed to holding all January 6th perpetrators at any level accountable under the law. We don't know whether Trump's role in the insurrection is directly under investigation. The Justice Department does not comment on ongoing cases, and he has not been charged or interviewed yet. However, there are some signs he may be under investigation. Experts have suggested that Trump's efforts to overturn the election may have violated laws protecting Congress. Georgia election investigation. In 2020, the Trump campaign attempted to interfere in the state of Georgia's election by using fake members of the Electoral College, so the way elections are conducted in the US, to choose Trump instead of Biden. Last year, an investigation was launched targeting 16 fake electors used by Trump's campaign, and there is a possibility of criminal charges. Rudy Giuliani, the former New York mayor, lawyer, and member of Trump's inner circle, is also being targeted by the investigation. Another Trump ally, Senator Lindsey Graham, is also under investigation due to his actions in Georgia post-election. All of the individuals involved in Trump's campaign in Georgia are refusing to participate or challenging the investigations. So we don't know yet whether Trump will be accused or be connected to crimes. However, Trump famously demanded that the Georgia election officials find 11,780 votes, the number needed for him to win the state. Georgia laws make it a crime to tamper in elections or encourage others to commit a crime. So there is potential for Trump to be charged in relation to this. New York investigations into Trump's businesses. And finally, Trump is under investigation by New York. Actually, it is probably more accurate to say that Trump's businesses are under investigation for financial fraud. Although small, there is a chance that criminal charges could occur here. For the past 3 years, the New York Attorney General has been investigating whether the Trump organization has misled banks and tax officials on the value of its assets. More specifically, they are accused of pretending to have a higher value to get loans, and then pretending to have a lower value to pay less tax. Trump was actually interviewed as part of this investigation a few months ago. At the same time, another case is being led by the Manhattan District Attorney. While the New York State case is a civil case, the Manhattan case is a criminal investigation. However, the official in charge of this investigation is reluctant to charge Trump directly, and instead is targeting other members of the organization. So what will happen next? Well, criminal investigations are designed to convict criminals after a full trial. They are not designed to tell us what is happening at every second. While it's frustrating, it may be years before we know the conclusions of these investigations. And the Department of Justice or other organizations do not comment on active investigations. The same can't be said about Trump or his campaign. Over the following weeks and months and years, you will hear a lot about these investigations. But from the Trump campaign's perspective, Trump is already telling lies or twisting the truth about the FBI raid on his property. He complained that the FBI stole his passports, but the FBI actually returned them as soon as possible. So here is today's final thought. Donald Trump is under investigation. Not just one investigation, but 4 different investigations. Even if he is convicted in just one of these cases, It would be a major shock for the US political system. But what do you think will happen next? Do you think Trump will be charged criminally? Which of the investigations into Trump is the most likely to lead to a conviction? And how about in your country? Are there any investigations into your politicians or leaders? Let me know in the comments on the Thinking in English blog, the comments on Spotify, or send me a message on Instagram. Also follow me on Instagram where I post extra content for English learners. Leave a like and a rating on Spotify or Apple or wherever you listen. And if you love listening to Thinking in English, please consider subscribing to my Patreon page, Thinking in English Podcasts Patreon. It's patreon.com/Thinking in English, I think. And over there, you can help support Thinking in English to grow, but at the same time, you'll be able to join our conversation clubs every Tuesday at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. UK time, so work out the time zones yourself, but it's 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. in Japan, or 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. in Brazil. I know those two. And you also get bonus episodes, one-on-one conversations with myself. So it's a good deal, I think, for you guys. So please consider subscribing on Patreon and supporting Thinking in English to keep growing. And thank you for listening. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.